Stop for a second and really hear me. What I'm about to share will either flip the trajectory of your life, or you'll shrug, keep scrolling, and wake up a decade from now in the exact same place. Same doubts, same patterns, same excuses. A few days ago, I watched a man spend 20 straight minutes explaining himself to someone who didn't respect him, not asking a question, not clarifying a plan, explaining himself, performing for approval he was never going to get. And the other person? Calm, distant, in control. I've seen that scene 1,000 times. Maybe you have too. Maybe you've lived it. Men like this are everywhere, bright, capable, even kind, but constantly overlooked, undervalued, and quietly dismissed. They're not born insecure. They were trained to be predictable, easy to handle, easy to direct. They were taught that approval equals safety, and that harmony is more important than self-respect. If that's you, I don't say it to shame you. I say it because the training can be undone. 5 centuries ago, one man put the real playbook on the table. Not the polite rules society recites, but the hard principles that actually govern power, resilience, and success. You know his name. Machiavelli. People like to argue about his ethics. Fewer actually study his clarity. He understood how people work, how influence works, and why so many capable men end up playing small. This video is about stepping off that small stage. It's about building the kind of presence that turns heads when you walk in, the kind of voice that doesn't have to get loud to be heard, the kind of boundary that doesn't require a speech to be respected. I'm going to walk you through 8 principles, clean, actionable, and uncomfortable in the best way possible. By the time we're done, you'll stop begging for respect and start commanding it. You'll stop hoping for better outcomes and start engineering them. It won't make you cruel. It will make you clear. One warning. Once you see this, you won't unsee it. Once you understand how influence actually functions, you won't be able to pretend you don't. And once you taste what it's like to be truly self-governed, going back to being manageable won't be an option. If you're ready, lock it in right now with a simple line in the comments. I refuse to be held back. I refuse to be stopped. Principle 1. Transform your inner self. There are 2 versions of you living side by side. One is apologetic, ready to smooth every edge, terrified of being misunderstood. The other is steady, self-respecting, and impossible to push around. Every day, you feed one and starve the other through what you tolerate, what you say yes to, and what you quietly swallow. Today, we change the diet. The apologetic self is learned. It's the be nice reflex that fires even when someone is being openly disrespectful. It's the needless sorry that pops out when you haven't done anything wrong. It's the long explanations you give to people who owe you explanations. That programming came from well-meaning parents who wanted you good, teachers who wanted you compliant, systems that prefer you manageable. The problem? Manageable men don't shape history. Manageable men keep the seat warm for someone bolder. Think about your last week. Where did you tolerate a small disrespect because you didn't want conflict? Where did you give someone a second, third, or fourth chance because you were busy rationalizing their behavior? Where did you put everyone else's urgency above your own priorities, then call yourself supportive while your life gathered dust? Every time you're nice to someone who's being careless with you, you're being unkind to yourself. Every time you let someone cross a boundary without consequence, you're training them to do it again. Your inner dialogue is the dead giveaway. The apologetic voice whispers, "Don't make it a big deal. You'll hurt their feelings." While the grounded voice counters, "My standards aren't optional." The apologetic voice says, "Maybe I misunderstood," while the grounded voice says, No, I understood exactly what happened, and I don't accept it. The apologetic voice says, one more chance, while the grounded voice says, they already had theirs. Transformation doesn't require rage. It requires choice. You're not going to eradicate weakness with theatrics. You're going to reassign it, strip it of decision-making authority, and give that authority to the part of you that respects your time, your focus, and your dignity. That means fewer explanations, fewer justifications, fewer proof presentations to people who have not earned them. When someone tests a boundary, the apologetic self wants to give a TED Talk about why the boundary exists. The grounded self enforces it without commentary. When someone disrespects you, the apologetic self wants to excavate their motives. The grounded self simply applies the consequence and moves on. When someone wastes your time, the apologetic self makes excuses on their behalf. The grounded self protects your time like a scarce resource, because it is. Small moment, real example. You're about to type, "Sorry for the delay," even though the delay was 20 minutes and you were actually doing something important. Replace it with, "Thanks for your patience." Or, better yet, just send the deliverable. Another. Someone pushes for an answer you don't owe them. The old you writes a paragraph. The new you says, "No." Period. No exclamation. No emoji. No softening. Not hostile, just final. Understand, the apologetic self will throw a tantrum as you do this. It will parade worst-case scenarios. They'll think you're rude. They'll leave. You'll lose the opportunity. Good. If the only way to keep them is to keep disrespecting yourself, that opportunity is a leash. Let it snap. The people who belong in your life won't require you to shrink to fit their comfort. The deals worth doing won't require your self-betrayal as collateral. If you want a simple daily reset, try this. Before a decision, ask, which version of me is steering right now? If it's the apologetic one, pause for 60 seconds. Breathe. Then make the choice the grounded self would make, and accept the friction that follows. Friction isn't failure. It's proof you're no longer dissolving yourself for harmony. Do that consistently for a week and watch what changes, not just how others respond, but how you feel when you're alone with your thoughts. Self-respect is quiet, but it's heavy. It changes how you stand. Here's a script you can borrow the next time someone pushes a boundary and expects you to explain yourself. That doesn't work for me. If they press, repeat. It doesn't work for me. If they keep pressing, end it. We'll leave it there. You don't owe a courtroom defense every time you protect your standards. In fact, the longer you explain, the more you invite negotiation over things that should be non-negotiable. Now, does this mean you never apologize? No. It means you apologize only when you're actually wrong, and then you fix it without performing guilt. Does it mean you never open up? No. It means you open up to people who have demonstrated care and discretion, not to anyone who happens to ask a probing question. Does it mean you turn into a brick wall? No. It means you stop rewarding people who chip away at you, smiling, to see how much you'll give. You will feel resistance inside as you practice this. Old patterns will flash warning lights. Your body might even feel jittery the first few times you say no without explanation. That's withdrawal from approval. Let it pass. On the other side is a steadiness that doesn't need applause to stand tall. And because we're being honest, some relationships will not survive this shift. People who enjoyed the easy version of you will call the grounded version cold, arrogant, or difficult. Translation: the dispenser is closed. The boundary is real. Their usual buttons don't work. Let them talk. Let them leave. You are not a product they get to review. You are a person who finally decided to drive his own life. If you want to anchor this principle in action today, drop a line in the comments to seal it. My uncertain self is transforming. My grounded self is in charge. Say it, then prove it in the next conversation that tries to pull you backward. Before we move on, memorize these 3 rules. 1. If it costs your self-respect, the price is too high. 2. If the boundary needs a monologue every time, it isn't a boundary, it's a wish. 3. If someone demands access you've not offered, the answer is no by default. You didn't come this far to stay agreeable and invisible. You came to become someone whose presence changes the temperature of a room without raising his voice. That starts inside. That starts now. Principle 2 begins next. Build the fortress mind, because strength on the outside collapses if the inside is a storm. We're going to harden your thinking without hardening your heart, so setbacks become signals, not wounds. So criticism becomes data, not drama. And so your focus stops getting hijacked by every gust of emotion. Principle 2. Build the fortress mind. Your mind is either the sharpest weapon you have or the weakest link in your entire system. For most men, it's chaos up there. Every criticism feels like an attack. Every small setback feels like a personal insult. Every challenge triggers a storm of anger, doubt, or fear. That mental chaos is what keeps them stuck in the same patterns, burning energy on reactions instead of building strategy. You're going to be different. Starting now, you're going to build a fortress around your mind. A fortress mind doesn't mean you become a robot who feels nothing. It means you process emotions like signals instead of orders. Anger becomes information. A line was crossed. Pain becomes information. Someone revealed their true character. Fear becomes information. Growth is about to happen. Here's the difference. Ordinary men get yanked around by these feelings like wild horses. They lash out when they're angry. They retreat when they're hurt. They freeze when they're scared. Their life becomes a series of reactions. A fortress mind, on the other hand, doesn't break under pressure. It doesn't hand over the wheel to temporary emotions. It sees everything as a data point, a lesson, a pattern. So when someone criticizes you, the fragile mind sulks, argues, or spirals. The fortress mind simply observes. This tells me about them, not me. When someone disappoints you, the fragile mind asks, how could they? The fortress mind says, I expected this, and now I know for sure who they are. This doesn't make you pessimistic. It makes you prepared. You stop being surprised when people act in their own interest. You stop clinging to idealistic fantasies of loyalty. You start building backup plans, alternate paths, and strategies that don't collapse if someone else fails to deliver. You expect reality, not a fairy tale, and because you expect it, you're ready for it. Think about how much pain you've caused yourself replaying conversations in your head, rethinking what you should have said, wishing you'd seen the signs earlier. All of that mental energy is wasted. Instead, you need to train yourself to look at the pattern, not the moment. The friend who badmouths others to you, they probably badmouth you to others. The person who flaked once, they'll do it again. The co-worker who tested your boundary and got away with it, they'll test again until you stop them. This is how your fortress mind thinks. Everything is a lesson. Every conversation teaches you about human nature. Every interaction reveals someone's priorities. Every challenge shows you where you're still fragile, and instead of taking things personally, you take them strategically. Here's a simple exercise. Next time you feel yourself react emotionally, don't move for 60 seconds. Literally, pause. Then ask 3 questions. 1. What is this moment teaching me? 2. What pattern is this showing me? 3. What is the smart response, not the emotional response? That 60-second pause will save you from self-sabotage more times than you can imagine. Most disasters come from men who spoke too fast, reacted too loud, or made a decision while drowning in emotion. A fortress mind doesn't eliminate feelings. It disciplines them. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man acts in the present, shaping the future." That's the essence of the fortress. It doesn't waste time in the past. It doesn't waste time hoping people will magically change. It acts right now, strategically, with the clear understanding that every action builds or weakens the future you want. Fragile men crack under pressure. Strong men absorb it, learn from it, and redirect it. If you want a life where nothing external can rattle you, you must build this fortress brick by brick. Train yourself daily. When someone offends you, see the lesson. When someone fails you, see the truth. When someone challenges you, see the opportunity. Lock this in with an affirmation right now. My mind is a fortress. My thoughts are tools. Write it. Say it. Practice it. Principle 3. Master the art of silence. Most men think power comes from being loud, from filling every silence with words, from explaining, from arguing. But here's the truth. The loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. He talks because he's nervous. He explains because he's uncertain. He argues because he needs validation. The strongest man in the room, he's quiet. He speaks only when it matters. His silence makes others uncomfortable, curious, even respectful. That's because silence is the highest form of confidence. When you stop explaining yourself, people start respecting you more. When you stop defending every decision, people stop testing your boundaries. When you stop justifying your standards, people start recognizing you as someone whose standards don't bend. Think about the most influential people you know. Do they waste breath arguing with every critic? Do they justify themselves to every challenger? Or do they make a decision, enforce it, and move forward? Silence carries a weight that words often don't. Machiavelli captured it perfectly. The lion does not need to roar to be respected. Silence makes you intriguing. Silence makes people fill in the blanks about you. They assume you're more strategic than you are. They imagine you're planning something powerful. They respect what they can't easily understand. But silence only works if, when you do speak, your words carry weight. That's the trade-off. If you're selective with words, people pay attention. If you don't waste words, every sentence matters. And if you refuse to explain, your no becomes unshakable. Here's how you practice silence. When someone accuses you unfairly, don't defend yourself. Let their own behavior expose them. When someone demands an answer you don't want to give, don't over-explain. A simple no is enough. When someone tries to bait you into drama, don't engage. Walk away. Watch what happens. At first, they'll escalate, desperate for the reaction you used to give. But when they don't get it, they'll either back down or reveal their true character. Either way, you win. And let's be clear, silence also protects you from yourself. How many men have ruined opportunities by saying too much? How many relationships were damaged by words that couldn't be taken back? How many moments of power were wasted because someone couldn't sit comfortably in silence? From now on, you will. You'll let other men flood the air with noise while you fill the room with presence. You'll let them waste energy explaining while you conserve energy for action. You'll let them reveal themselves with words while you stay unreadable. Remember this, silent men are not respected because they're intimidating. They're respected because they're unpredictable. Nobody knows what you're thinking. Nobody knows when you'll move. That mystery is power. So drop this in the comments and claim it. My silence speaks louder than their noise. Principle 4. Turn setbacks into strength. Here's a reality you need to accept right now. People will let you down. Your closest friend may choose his own interest over your loyalty. Your business partner may betray you for money. Even people you trust may fail you when the stakes are high. That's not cynicism. It's reality. And once you embrace it, disappointment loses its sting. Most men collapse under disappointment because they believed in fantasies. They thought people were better than that. They mistook politeness for loyalty. They trusted blindly instead of observing carefully. When the mask comes off, they feel betrayed, broken, and confused. They waste months asking, "Why would they do this to me?" You won't. You'll expect disappointment, not in a bitter way, but in a strategic way. You'll understand that people are self-serving, and when pressure comes, most choose themselves. That doesn't make them evil. It makes them human. And when you understand this, disappointment stops being a wound and starts being a revelation. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are unpredictable, changeable, and self-serving." The wise man expects this. He builds his plans knowing people may fail. He keeps options open. He avoids putting his entire future in anyone else's hands. And here's the secret. Every disappointment is proof you're rising. People don't betray those beneath them. They betray those they envy, those they want something from, those who are moving upward. Disappointment is the price of progress. Wear it like a badge. When it happens, respond like a strategist, not a victim. Sometimes that means cutting someone off completely. No confrontation, no drama, just distance. Sometimes it means patience, remembering what they did, storing it away, and waiting for the moment when their unreliability exposes them again. Most importantly, use disappointment as fuel. Let it sharpen your selection process. Let it build your independence. Let it force you to rely on yourself first, others second. Because when you've been let down and you're still moving, when you've been abandoned and you're still rising, when you've been disappointed and you're still standing, that's when you know you've built something no betrayal can destroy. That is the path to being unstoppable. I'll stop here. Next, we'll move into Principle 5. Silence your critics through excellence, where you'll learn how to bury doubt not with arguments but with results so undeniable that criticism dies on its own. Principle 5. Silence your critics through excellence. Here's the mistake most men make when they face criticism. They argue. They defend. They explain. They spend hours writing long messages or giving speeches trying to prove their worth to people who are never going to respect them in the first place. And while they're busy explaining, they're wasting energy that should have gone into building something that speaks louder than any argument ever could. You're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to fight critics on their battlefield. You're going to win by playing a completely different game, excellence. Understand this. The second you argue with a critic, you've already given them status. You're admitting their opinion matters enough to respond. You're granting them equality by debating. But most critics are not your equals. They're people who have built nothing, who've risked nothing, who've never created anything worth defending. Why would you waste time on them? Your answer to criticism is results. Your answer to doubt is achievement. Your answer to gossip is undeniable progress. When your work is excellent, their noise doesn't just fade, it embarrasses them. It makes them look petty, small, and jealous. Machiavelli said, "Let no one think they can overcome fortune with complaints." Don't complain about being underestimated. Don't argue about being doubted. Outperform it. Overdeliver. Outlast. If they say you can't, make sure you do. If they question your methods, let your results answer. If they mock your potential, let your success silence them. Remember this formula. Every minute you waste in arguments is a minute you didn't spend sharpening your skills. Every hour you spend defending yourself is an hour you could have been building proof. Every ounce of energy you give to critics is energy stolen from your own progress. So redirect it. Build so visibly, succeed so obviously, achieve so undeniably, that the critic's words dissolve into background noise. At some point, they won't even bother criticizing. You'll have outgrown their reach. And if they do continue, their words will sound like envy, not insight. Excellence doesn't just silence critics. It transforms them. People who mocked you eventually start imitating you. People who doubted you eventually ask for your advice. People who dismissed you eventually tell stories about how they knew you. That's how the cycle works. But only if you stop wasting your breath on debates and pour everything into your craft. So claim this truth right now in the comments. I silence critics with success, not arguments. Principle 6. Control your reputation. Here's a fact. Every person who meets you forms an opinion in the first 7 seconds. That opinion shapes how they treat you, how much influence they give you, and how much respect they're willing to extend. Most men leave this to chance. You won't. You're going to take control of it. Reputation isn't just about how you dress or what you say. It's about the energy you bring into every room, the way people talk about you when you're not around, the story your presence tells without a single word. You can either leave that story undefined or you can design it with precision. Influential men do not talk endlessly. They don't reveal everything. They don't justify their every move. They let silence work for them. They let mystery pull people in. They let their standards speak before they even open their mouths. Machiavelli put it like this: men judge more by the eye than the hand. People believe what they see more than what they hear. So show them strength, discipline, and composure in everything they see. That means walk like you know exactly where you're going. Stand like you own the space you're in. Sit like you're the most capable man in the room, even if you say nothing. And when pressure comes, be the calmest presence in the chaos. Consistency is the key. If you crumble under stress, people remember that. If you explode when criticized, people remember that. If you panic in uncertainty, people remember that. Control yourself in every environment. Be the same man under pressure and under praise. Be the same man when you win and when you lose. That consistency builds an unshakable reputation. And here's the other rule. When you cut ties, cut them clean. Don't leave back doors open for people who have shown themselves unworthy. When you draw a line, enforce it. When you make a point, make it unforgettable. But don't announce every move. Let people see the results, not the process. Your reputation is your shield. It precedes you. It speaks for you when you're not present. It protects you when people consider testing you. And the more deliberate you are about it, the stronger it becomes. Lock it in now. I control my reputation. My presence commands respect. Principle 7. Make excellence a discipline. Excellence isn't something you switch on for big moments. It's not a suit you put on for special occasions. It's a discipline, a daily practice that defines how you live, even when nobody's watching. Most men think excellence is about dramatic scenes, finally standing up to a bully, crushing a big presentation, or making a bold move. But those moments don't define you. The small, invisible choices do. How you wake up when you don't feel like it. How you handle tiny annoyances throughout the day. how you treat people who can't do anything for you, how you follow through on promises no one else will notice. That's where real excellence is forged. And once it's forged, it becomes unshakable. Comfort is the enemy here. When you choose comfort, you're choosing predictability. Predictability leads to manageability. Manageability leads to invisibility. The man who clings to comfort ends up average. The man who chooses discipline over comfort builds strength that others can't understand. Machiavelli wrote, "Fortune favors the disciplined." Discipline is what creates trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's waking up early, exercising, doing the hard thing first, you're building a track record with yourself. You're proving you can be trusted, and that creates unstoppable confidence. Your standards become your armor. When you know what you stand for, nobody can bargain you down. When you know what you won't tolerate, nobody can push you around. When you know your non-negotiables, nobody can trick you into compromise. So build habits that hurt in the moment, but strengthen in the long run. Get up when you'd rather stay in bed. Do the work when you'd rather procrastinate. Keep your word even when it's inconvenient. Other men will laugh, call you too serious, or say you're extreme. These are the same men who will beg for your help when their undisciplined lives collapse. Let them choose easy. You choose effective. Let them chase short-term pleasure. You chase long-term strength. Let them worship comfort. You worship discipline. Because when life tests you, and it will, the comfortable man folds. The disciplined man rises. Excellence isn't a costume. It's a way of life. Principle 8. Become unstoppable. This is where it all comes together. When you've transformed your inner self, built your fortress mind, mastered silence, turned setbacks into fuel, silenced critics with results, controlled your reputation, and made excellence a daily practice, you become something rare. Unstoppable. To be unstoppable doesn't mean life never tests you. It means life cannot break you. People can criticize you, but your confidence stays intact. People can disappoint you, but you're not surprised. People can challenge you, but you don't fold. You've built a system where nothing external dictates your internal state. This isn't about being cold. It's about being independent. You can still care, still connect, still love, but you don't need approval, validation, or applause to function. You are complete in yourself. Machiavelli said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." And that's exactly what you've done. You've eliminated weaknesses, stripped away dependence, and built yourself into a man who stands alone if he must, but chooses carefully who stands beside him. The unstoppable man is tested constantly. People look for cracks in his foundation, buttons to push, vulnerabilities to exploit. They come up empty because he's already closed those gaps. He's already done the inner work. He's already disciplined himself to the point of steel. And so, he rises, over and over, no matter the obstacle, no matter the betrayal, no matter the challenge. That can be you, not someday, today. You've now seen the 8 pillars of becoming unstoppable. But here's the truth. Hearing them isn't enough. Knowledge by itself changes nothing. Transformation only happens when you act differently, when you choose the stronger path in real time, in the heat of the moment, when the old patterns come knocking. So let's stitch these principles together and walk through them again, not as abstract ideas, but as a living code. You've transformed your inner self. The apologetic version of you no longer runs the show. You've cut the reflexive apologies, the over-explanations, the desperate need to please. In their place, you've fed the version of you that is steady, unapologetic, and firm in his standards. You no longer beg to be liked. You command respect by how you carry yourself. You've built the fortress mind. The days of spiraling over criticism, disappointment, and rejection are behind you. Now you read situations like a strategist. You collect information from emotions without being controlled by them. You no longer crumble when tested, you stand unshaken. You've mastered silence. The endless explanations, the long-winded defenses, the nervous chatter. Gone. Now your silence carries weight. People feel your presence more than your words. And when you do speak, they lean in, because they know you don't waste words. You've turned setbacks into strength. Disappointment no longer destroys you. It educates you. Betrayal no longer shocks you. It clarifies who deserves your trust. Failure no longer paralyzes you. It fuels your next door. Every letdown has become raw material for your rise. You've silenced critics through excellence. You don't debate with doubters. You don't wrestle with haters. You let results speak. Your achievements, your progress, your victories, they've become the answers no argument could ever deliver. You've taken control of your reputation. You no longer leave your image to chance. You've built a presence that enters the room before you do. You stand tall, move with purpose, and remain composed under pressure. Your reputation is your shield, your tool, your leverage. You've made excellence a discipline, not a costume for special moments, but a daily ritual. Your standards aren't situational, they're consistent. You choose discipline over comfort, growth over ease, self-respect over shortcuts. And that consistency has built a strength most men never taste. And finally, you've become unstoppable. You're no longer shaken by criticism, crushed by betrayal, or limited by circumstance. You've conquered yourself, and in doing so, you've become unconquerable. Pause and think about where you started. Maybe you came here feeling overlooked, underestimated, or stuck in cycles of approval seeking. But the man sitting here now is different. He's sharper, firmer, more grounded. He doesn't apologize for existing. He doesn't explain himself to people who don't matter. He doesn't wait for permission. That shift alone separates you from the majority of men who never wake up to their own potential. Most stay in the prison of being liked. You've stepped out. Now, here's the part that matters most. The world will test you immediately. As soon as you leave this video, someone will push your boundaries, someone will question your choices, or your old habits will try to sneak back in. Expect it. See it for what it is. A test. And stand firm. When you feel the urge to explain yourself, stop. When you feel the sting of disappointment, analyze. When you feel criticism, channel it into results. When you're tempted to take the easy road, choose discipline instead. Each of those moments is where the transformation cements itself. Let me be clear, you're not the same man who clicked on this video. You've been sharpened. You've been tested by these words. You've been rebuilt. And now you have a choice. Slip back into old patterns, or step forward into the man who cannot be broken, cannot be bent, cannot be stopped. Say this to yourself now. I cannot be held back. I cannot be broken. I cannot be stopped. This is more than an affirmation. This is your new operating system. From this point forward, your uncertain self is dead weight. Your fortress mind is operational. Your silence is strategic. Your setbacks are fuel. Your reputation is deliberate. Your excellence is non-negotiable. And your unstoppable nature is undeniable. The world doesn't give power. It yields power to those who take it calmly, strategically, relentlessly. That's you now. So stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop playing small. Your life is here. Your influence is here. Your moment is here. You are unbreakable. You are unbending. You are unstoppable. And now it's time to prove it. You started this journey as one version of yourself, and you're finishing it as someone entirely different. Think about it. When you clicked on this video, you may have been carrying uncertainty, maybe even frustration. Tired of being overlooked, tired of apologizing, tired of waiting for others to recognize your worth. But now you're armed with something very few men ever find, a system for becoming unstoppable. Let's walk it one last time, not as theory, but as transformation already unfolding inside you. Your uncertain self has been replaced with the confident self that enforces boundaries without a speech, that doesn't explain away disrespect, that no longer trades self-respect for approval. Your fortress mind is alive, no longer swayed by insults, no longer undone by disappointment, no longer hijacked by fear. Every emotion is information, nothing more. You don't break, you learn. Your silence is loaded. You don't waste words. You don't argue with fools. You don't explain yourself into weakness. When you speak, your words land with weight. Your setbacks are your power source. Every betrayal, every rejection, every failure, fuel for sharper strategy, stronger resolve, and clearer vision. Your critics are silent, not because they disappeared, but because your results buried them. Your progress made their doubt laughable. Your success turned their judgment into envy. Your reputation is under your control. You walk into a room with presence. You stand firm under pressure. You move like a man who knows his value. You don't wait for others to define you. You define yourself. Your excellence is no longer a burst of effort, but a daily discipline. Every choice you make, even the invisible ones, proves that you live by standards higher than comfort, higher than ease. And because of all this, you've become unstoppable. Not in the sense that life never challenges you, but in the sense that no challenge can defeat you. Now look forward. The world will notice the change. People will test it. Old patterns will try to creep back in, but you'll be ready. When someone questions you, you won't explain. You'll hold your ground. When someone betrays you, you won't crumble. You'll learn and rise. When someone criticizes you, you won't argue. You'll let excellence answer. Remember this: you don't need anyone's permission to be who you've become. You don't need approval to pursue what matters to you. You don't need applause to validate your path. You already have everything you need within yourself. Machiavelli said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." And that's what you've done here. You've conquered the weaker self, the fragile mind, the apologetic voice. You've claimed the discipline, the silence, the strength that make you untouchable. So carry this truth with you. You cannot be held back because you've stopped holding yourself back. You cannot be broken because you've already faced disappointment and turned it into strength. You cannot be stopped because you've built habits, standards, and a mindset that no obstacle can crush. This is your moment, your season, your proof. From this point on, you don't just live, you lead. You don't just survive, you command. You don't just hope, you shape. The world will bend to the man who bends himself first. And that man is now you. So go out there. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Take the place that belongs to you. Move forward with presence, with strength, with unshakable certainty. You are unbreakable. You are unbending. You are unstoppable. Now prove it.